what happens in places for people to go to, it's not congestion. It's a double-edged sword.
How are you, Mark?
How you doing?
I'm good. Still got a couple minutes.
Yeah, cool. People don't have.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Oh, all right. That's okay. Early streaming was okay.
Yeah, you really don't.
2 minutes from the grocery store, and that's out.
So I live a mile from the
Your neighborhood is going right. Yeah. Really beautiful neighborhood.
Most of the people that want to get out of there, let's get right on Carter, they go up to South Florida.
Yeah.
Or Indiana, get to South Florida.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's very fun.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
All right, it is now the time for our regularly scheduled meeting of the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency for December, excuse me. I think we already did. And I would ask that our secretary call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hopper?
Here.
Commissioner Porter?
Here.
Commissioner Warwick? Here. Commissioner Hogg?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
Actually, so far, no, we're going to do.
Okay, and Commissioner Ramirez is the other.
Yes. So we do have a quorum of commission members to conduct business today. So we'll move forward with the agenda, and as always, I would ask if any members of the commission have a conflict of interest of any items that are on the agenda this evening. Seeing none, we'll dispense with special presentations, because there's anything special that isn't part of the agenda. And is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the Urban Renewal Agency on any topic? Seeing none, that'll take us to the consent calendar. I will entertain a motion to for the disposition of the consent calendar.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Porter.
I would move that we adopt the consent calendar as printed.
Move to accept the consent calendar by Mr. Porter. Second by Mr. Allgood. Any further discussion? Secretary, call the roll, please.
Porter?
Yes.
Warwick? Yes. Hogg?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes. That takes us into old business and our economic development activity report from Mr. Jenkins. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Good to see you this evening. I just want to start off with some miscellaneous updates around the greater Caldwell area, and I'll start off with Project Pacer. And this is a national developer. They're working on a 20-acre site on Cleveland Boulevard and 43rd Street. And this is a site that's been vacant for some time, so we're really excited to see this group come in. The site will include 2 large industrial buildings and retail along Caldwell Boulevard. So again, great project. And for this national developer, this is the first project of theirs in the state of Iowa. So Caldwell's opened up the doors for activity from this particular group. I'm also working with Lincoln Property Company on their site for the 23-acre site at Sky Ranch, looking at developing a total of close to 400,000 square feet of industrial space that's going into Sky Ranch on that site. So this is going to be an exciting project for the city of Caldwell, and I'm working very closely with them to solidify plans at that location. Also working with Project Jane. This is an aviation manufacturer. They're interested in sites within the Treasure Valley. I had a conversation with them this past week. They're interested in about 100 acres in East Caldwell. So acreage is tough to come by. We're going to see if we can get it done for them, and this is a really exciting project, not just Caldwell, but for the Treasure Valley. So we're also working with Eckert Properties on commercial and retail opportunities in Caldwell. They have a couple projects in the city of Caldwell, and we're concentrating on major corridors within the Caldwell region. So as you all are aware, we're trying to solidify some services in Caldwell that pertain to our growing citizenry. So we want to make sure to have shopping opportunities for citizens of Caldwell here in our community. So working with groups like this is really important as we look to wrap up these major corridors with shopping opportunities, retail and commercial alike. And then I'm working with a developer on 119 acres along Karcher, which is Highway 55, and Lake in Caldwell. This will be a future mixed-use development. We're looking at attracting a large anchor grocer at this location, along with some other retail and commercial users, and then some residential we mixed in as well. So this is a very exciting project and a great area for the city. We're also working with a national developer on a 17-acre site in Sky Ranch. They're looking at a project that features industrial and commercial uses at that location. And then going on to Project Puck. This is a large sports complex developer. They're interested in the Caldwell market. They're considering large sites that can accommodate multiple sports and activities at that location. So just a really exciting project there, and I'm hopeful that we can find them a home here in Caldwell. And then lastly, within the Miscellaneous Updates, Project Imagine. So I'm still working closely with the site selectors on this project, and we are getting closer to a decision on this project. So hopefully I can give you all some good news in the coming months, if not next month, but that would be terrific just to get this project in our community. And then as I make a shift, we're going to downtown updates. The Project Radio, they are back in the mix after a delay due to COVID-19. They're looking at downtown opportunities for their Ada County-based restaurant operation. So hopeful we can find them a location in downtown Caldwell. They've been looking for quite some time, so I think they're ready at this point to move forward with something. Project Outfit, this is a Texas-based retailer. They're interested in downtown opportunities. They have a great concept that would be a terrific fit for the Caldwell community. Had a great visit with them last week. Actually, Ophelia Morales and I, our economic development specialists, met with them, and they just said some amazing things about the city of Caldwell. They spent a tremendous amount of time in downtown Caldwell and likened it to the community that they operate in the state of Texas. So just a great compliment to the work and the efforts that the community has done for downtown. Project Lone Star, this is a local Ada County restaurant group considering sites in Caldwell. Visited Caldwell in November. They're investigating location opportunities in our downtown core. So another exciting project there. Project Canyon, working with a local brewery on location opportunities in downtown Caldwell. This group is out of the state of Oregon, and they are hopeful that they can find a home here in the downtown core as well. And then just some updates. The Still Ice Cream. Ophelia Morales has been working closely with the owners of the Still, and they have notified us that they'll be opening on Wednesday of this week. So really exciting news there. Go grab some ice cream if you have some free time there. It's going to be a great location. And then White Dog Brewing, Ophelia notified me that they will be opening on Saturday of this weekend. So they're doing a soft opening and then a grand opening later in January. So two great establishments opening in downtown Caldwell that will continue to add to the vibrancy of our community. So also Hello Norman, they're a tablescape and furniture store. They're doing exceptionally well. I actually was notified that they're actually selling out of product. So that was always a good sign for our businesses downtown. Project Pine, continue to work with the Brew Pub, investigating opportunities to locate in Caldwell. And then early 2022 openings, Bond and Bevel. This is a group that's going to locate in the alleyway there. You have right at that location. Thanks, Brent, for pointing that out. So they're opening there. Really exciting. They're leather goods, leather product group, and they do bags, they do apparel, they do wallets, just a number of things, and they also have some coffee as well. And then Project Star will be opening early next year on top of that. And then just generally speaking, a quick update for Kimball and Blaine, that RFP. Again, it closes December 31st. I'm fielding inquiries regarding that RFP as we speak, but we have some really neat organizations that have taken an interest at that location. So I anticipate a very strong outcome with a great group that's going to provide some new life at that location. And then likewise feed into the park that's adjacent to that site. And with that, I stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Any questions for Mr. Jenkins from the commission?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Wagner, and I would add that Mr. Wagner has joined us from Zoom.
Very good, thank you, sir. So maybe just, and I don't know if you know, but just I was curious about Paddles Up Pokey. Do you know how they doing? Are they staying pretty busy, doing pretty good so far?
Yes, thank you for that question, Mr. Wagner and Chairman. They are doing quite well. I've been there a few times, more than a few times, so just working with the owner directly. And he emphasized that this is a unique location for them because the dinner hour is actually their busiest time. And it's typically the lunch hour at different locations. But he said that during the dinner hours, it's just amazing. So the reception's been terrific, and the community has really supported them well. So he's quite pleased with what they've been doing. In fact, he let me know that on the grand opening, that this was the second busiest location that they've ever had in terms of grand opening. So that was exciting. They have a number of locations up in Treasure Valley.
That's awesome to hear, and I'm not a sushi guy, I don't really care for sushi, but I went and tried it, and it was actually pretty good. It was definitely edible, and I actually enjoyed it, it was really good, so, and I've met those people, the leather goods people that are coming in, they stopped in at our shop the other day, and we were talking, and it's good people, I know they're from Oregon, can't wait to get out of there, but it seemed like just good people, I think they'll be a good fit in the downtown, so, thanks for the update.
Great. Yes, Mr. Wagner, you know, that's a cliche, you know. Nobody likes sushi till they try it. So, Mr. Hawkins, go ahead.
On the first part of your report, we have a lot of people looking for large parcels. We have large parcels left? Where are you looking? I mean, that's super exciting. I'm just hoping we have something left.
Absolutely, Commissioner Allgood, Chairman, that is a fantastic question. What we try to do is, it's getting very difficult to find adequate properties that are suitable for some of these inquiries that come into the area, so we're looking, at the future of development in the North Caldwell area. We're hoping for a positive outcome on Monday, of course, with that, urban renewal area, but all in all, we are simply running out of properties that are adequate for these projects.
100-acre parcel's hard to come by, close to town. I mean, that's pretty significant.
Absolutely, and it's been challenging, it really has been, so we've had to get really creative on that front, but as we look toward the future of development, I've certainly had to shift gears and do a little pivoting, and getting folks more acquainted with this particular area in the North Urban Renewal District.
Gotcha, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Jenkins?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just real quick, was there a closing on the property that formerly known
Yes.
as McCain?
Yes, we did close on that, and, McCain has the money, and we have property, and it's now, Mr. Hilty is working with, the Lincoln Project folks to, get that transition and transfer, resale going, and I'm sure he'll talk more about that in his report. Okay, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. That takes us to our new business item, which is first, consider the invoices for payment from the, urban renewal treasurer, Ms. Mitchell. This is a nicer figure than last month.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, you have before your request to approve invoices in the amount of $43,427.72. That's for our monthly economic development support of $18,000, our attorney legal fees of $6,500 to Hamilton, Michelson, Hilty, payment number 16 to Canyon County for the expo site improvements of $10,000, and then property taxes on a couple of the urban renewal properties still of $8,927.72. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mitchell? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to, approve the invoices for payment for the month of December. Moved by Ms. Warwick, second by Mr. Allgood. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Invoices for December are approved. Action item number 2, it says consider invoices, these are actually ratifications.
Ratification, yes.
Payments, correct, yeah. So these, if you would, Ms. Mitchell, present the ratification of payments already made.
Thank you. Chairman, Commissioners, before you is a request to ratify $13,039.35 in 2 payments. One of them was for our closing costs of $5,332.35. That's for that McCain property. And then for Idaho Power, this is a direct cost that Idaho Power is charging urban renewal directly instead of charging the county and the county going through us for reimbursement. And so this is for that power install of $7,707.
But it does go against the allotment for the county, correct?
Correct.
Okay, any questions concerning the payments for ratification? Okay, a motion then to consider these payments. So moved by Mr. Allgood, second by Mr. Porter to approve the ratification, to ratify the payments made in the past month to Pioneer and Idaho Power. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, takes us to the monthly cash reconciliation report, Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, before you have the cash reconciliation report, we're gonna start in that gray box as always. At the bottom, we have, $7,356,636.46, made up in the three following accounts. The LGIP account has $116,640.04. The Banner Bank CD at $250,380.49. And then in the Banner operating account, we have $6,989,615.93. The Banner Bank account is broken up into the following, sub-accounts. We have restricted for other taxing districts at $8,291,302.62. Caldwell, this is city projects, and we have a negative at the moment of $2,525,989.90. That is for that check that we got to McCain. And so we should be getting our property tax receipts, that will be able to cover that. Restricted for the TVCC rental income at $735,472.57. And then restricted for our urban renewal, job creation land account of $488,830.64. With that, I will stand for questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mitchell on the cash reconciliation?
I just, not as much a question, I just want to make clear, because last month this number was quite a bit bigger. And it's just because of this family came back, and then when Lincoln comes through, we'll be back.
Correct.
We'll be back where we ought to be.
Correct. So in theory, we're not negative in our operating accounts. You can see those four things. This is just how we track, the taxing revenues and the expenses tied to, the specific taxing district's projects. But we cut that check to buy that land back.
Yeah, as I said, it was a lot smaller than it was last month, so.
Yes.
But yes, thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Ms. Mitchell? Entertain a motion then to approve the cash reconciliation report.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Allgood, second by Ms. Warwick. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the cash reconciliation report is approved. Mr. Hilty, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Brent's pulling up on the screen, the Cleveland Event Center, and the adjoining property to the northeast is the property that's currently owned by Wellco, Rick Wells' company. We've had an option on that. We've talked about it for a couple of years, I think, actually. The deadline for exercising the option is in February of 2022. It's the recommendation of staff that we go ahead and exercise that option now and proceed to closing. We've been hesitating because of the environmental condition on the site. As you know, there's been a bit of a falling out with Rick. I mean, Rick Wells, as you know, has been a friend of the city for a long time. He was frankly kind of slow in coming through on the environmental assessment cleanup that we talked about when the option was originally entered into, and it was a 2-year option for that reason, to give him plenty of time to kind of work this through IDDQ. Rick hasn't really got the ball to the finish line. He notified me some months ago that he wanted to cancel the option. He believed there was a cancellation clause in the option. I pointed out that there was not one. He's had a couple follow-up conversations, I think, kind of a heart-to-heart with Brent and another with the mayor about that, and you know, the position of staff has simply been, you know, an option is something that allows the agency to decide whether it wants to buy. It doesn't permit the property owner to back out, and the agency has paid $50,000 as option fees to consummate that transaction. I think generally Rick feels like it's worth more money at this point. That might be the truth over what's happened in the last 2 years, but again, that's the nature of an option. If it hadn't been for the environmental contamination, we would close on it 2 years ago. So I want to make sure that you're aware that there's at least this issue with Rick. I think the mayor asked him to go back and look through his records for any evidence of a cancellation clause. He apparently did that. He didn't find that was something that had been proposed or negotiated. I looked at my emails and records because I was involved, of course, in drafting that option. And I didn't find that that was ever a term that was proposed, and as I had previously advised the agency, I would never have recommended that you enter into an option that had a cancellation clause in it. It's just simply not the way they work. As the RFP went forward on the redevelopment of the Cleveland Event Center, this was always identified as parking. We looked at alternatives. There is some alternate development pressure on that. There has been some environmental examination in the vicinity, which sort of gives us a level of comfort that even if there's a little bit of cleanup to do there, that we can get it done. And then it does need to be dedicated parking for that Cleveland Event Center. That was the commitment to Mr. Muscle, who was the successful proposer on that RFP. So we feel like we're at a point right now where I'm not sure that Rick is doing anything more on the environmental condition of the property. Based on vicinity investigations, we think that the problem is not that serious. So we're comfortable recommending that we go ahead and exercise that option and acquire the property and then do what's necessary to get it transferred to Mike Muscle so that he can convert it to the parking lot for the Cleveland Event Center. Any concern about staff proceeding in that fashion?
Any issues, concerns?
Jog my memory, didn't we discuss at one point a second opinion in that situation?
We did, and I did talk with an environmental consultant who has done some work on the Cleveland Event Center itself and the properties to the northeast. He had kind of a conflict of interest on being engaged by the agency because of representation of neighboring property owners. But in discussing with him and with the neighboring property owner, the feedback we're getting is that the contamination is not a serious impediment to redevelopment. Now, we don't have a formal opinion on that.
Right.
But that's the discussion.
Mr. Hilty, do remind me and the commission what our obligation is in preparation for the prep on that property. Are we responsible for any contamination remediation, or is it Mr. Muscle, or is it a joint effort? What's the plan on that?
As I recall the DDA, it is something that would be the agency's responsibility to acquire that and make sure it's ready for redevelopment. The good news is a parking lot, that can be done with a restricted covenant. I've spoken with Mr. Muscle and kept him informed of this over the weeks and months. He is very well prepared to work on this site, to bring his own equipment on site to assist in whatever remediation might be necessary. He said he hasn't done this before. He doesn't have any hesitation about assisting in some kind of joint effort there.
Okay. I don't see any serious objections from the commission. So.
And I think just to follow up, we did, because there was other interest in that parcel, staff did look at other vicinity properties that might have been appropriate to acquire to replace this parking. And what we found was that prices were simply didn't make sense. Even if we had to invest, frankly, even if we had to invest 6 figures in remediating the site, it's still by far the cheapest way to provide that parking that we're obligated to provide. And I don't anticipate it personally.
Great. Okay.
All right, we'll proceed in that fashion.
Do you need a motion or a?
Yeah, let's go ahead and
affirmative? Okay. The motion that we're looking for then would be to authorize staff to go ahead and close on the option that is on the Wellco property.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Algood, second by Mr. Porter. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Mr. Wagner is no longer with us, it looks like, so it's just us.
Okay. I did, for what it's worth, I did email Mr. Wells a couple of weeks ago, let him know this was on the agenda tonight if he wanted to come. All right. I think Stephen mentioned mentioned, the RFP for, the properties at 215 and 217 North Kimball is out. The due date is the end of the year. And as he's reported, there is, some very, promising interest in that site for redevelopment. On 516 Main, that is the old Bennett Machine property. The preferred developer there, as you recall, is the Godsill Corporation, Biscuits and Hogs. I've drafted the DDA. It is in the hands of their attorney. I was, probably overly optimistic and hoping that we could have that ready for you to approve tonight. It's not gonna be ready until January. But I will push to get it done, by that timeframe. Virtually the same story is true for, the RFP at Arthur and Kimball. That's Aztec Development. I did get a phone message from, the attorney for Aztec, with a question about the DDA. I know, so he's at least looking at it and proceeding on it. So anticipate both of those being, before the agency for approval, in January. On the Speed Parkway, as was discussed, the property has been transferred back to the agency by McCain. That closing took place on December 7th, I believe, last week sometime, while I was out. And then I am in the process of preparing what's not going to be a full-blown DDA. You're familiar with the DDA process. It's kind of a laborious document to go through. It is fairly specific in providing the agency with some detailed control over design issues to make sure that developers make good on the promises in the RFPs. And this is a little bit different. With properties out in Sky Ranch, we've been primarily interested in the size of the building and the job creation. We as an agency have not been, at looking at it at a level of detail that look to design features and things like that for industrial properties. And so that's the document that I anticipate. It's more simple. It's a lot like a real estate sales transaction, but it does have the provisions as we had in McCain. A requirement to build, a requirement to do that within a specified time frame, and the obligation to reconvey the property if that doesn't get done. So those protections will be in there. I'm in the process of drafting that. I have made contact with the team that will be working on it for Lincoln Properties. I also anticipate that being ready to approve at the next meeting, with the closing hopefully to follow shortly. I know Stephen reported this morning they're chomping a bit to get going. Lost track. But they want to, they're anxious to break ground, and again, it's gonna be exciting to see a 450,000 square foot building go up out there.
I would add too that because we went through the RFP process, we got a more complete view and design of what they intend to do than we ever did with McCain in that process. So there is a better sense, I think, from what the product is that we're gonna get than we have in previous transactions. So I think that's a good thing.
And it's gonna be a really good product.
It is a good product.
Right. Creekside, there's a groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow at 11 a.m. on site. It's gonna be on the 6th Street Plaza side of the property. So if you're available, obviously, that'll be a fun one to have the Chase come out and go through the ceremony and talk about their association with the agency and with the city. We had a conversation with them this afternoon. As you recall, it was extended through the end of March 2022 for closing. They have targeted February 1st as the closing date. So they are anxious to get going on it. We think that's the reasonable time frame to get through some of these outstanding issues that prompted that extension. Talked today about parking, which was one of those issues. So I think we're headed in the right direction on all fronts. So tomorrow at 11, if you're available. And then one last thing that's not on the agenda, but I think we talked about is an update on the north area. That, as I think you're aware, has been approved by the county, which they're an essential partner in the process because of the portions of it that lie outside of the city limits. Final city action will be Monday night, a week from tonight, at the regular council meeting on the 20th. There will be a hearing, followed by an action item on the ordinance, which is the actual document that creates formally the area and adopts the plan and the reallocation. So that's a week from tonight, right here in these chambers. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there are questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hilton?
Mr. Chairman, just one quick one.
Yes, Mr. Wagner, who's back with us?
The vending machine shop, are they moved out, or when, if not, when do they plan on being completely moved out of that building?
It sounds like Mr. Orton has the answer to that.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And Mark, please take it away. Okay, they're committed to moving out by January 1st. They have been moving equipment, sorting, they've been working hard for months, and I think they'll make their deadline. They've worked pretty hard on it. And they're moving out to a space that is within the North Allocation area, if it's approved, incidentally.
Picture. Any other questions for Mr. Hilton or anything concerning these projects? Right, so we'll let you go.
Thank you.
I think we've covered all the things that I had to talk about. As Mr. Hilton mentioned, the North Allocation area has been approved by the county, and Oklahoma City Council approval is left for Monday. And we have transferred the McCain properties to us. Happy to roll with that new project, and very excited about that. And other than that, I think things are rocking and rolling. Any commissioner reports that anybody has for us tonight? Sounds like we don't. Okay, so next on the agenda is an executive session pursuant to Idaho Code, section 74-206, subsection 1, paragraph C, for the purpose of discussing the acquisition of or an interest in real property not owned by a public agency. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. Moved by Ms. Warwick, second by Mr. Porter to go into executive session. Would the secretary call the roll, please?
Warwick? Yes. Wagner?
Yes.
Allgood?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes. All right, we are in executive session. Thank you. And I think everybody is here that's going to stay here.
Are we on?
We need to Zoom.
Are we on?
On Zoom.
And I need to stop recording or?
Got it.